very important practical topic. And before we talk on topic, I request the Mishra ji, the staff of WRC, to play ICA mode.
येष सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Welcome everyone to the series of sessions on audit and IND. Today we are having with us the faculty of the session, CA Mukesh Bajaj, the coordinator of the session, C. Deepika Jain, and all of you, good evening. The topic which is selected is a third-party confirmation. We have specifically selected this topic with the objective to focus on the practical aspects. Sometimes it is perceived or believed that third-party confirmation may hai kya? It's nothing. It's a very simple thing. However, I bet everyone that if you really try to apply third-party confirmation in real practice, you will have tens of questions when you want to go for that. Starting with how many numbers and which parties to be called for third-party confirmation. Second, shall I go for only year-ended, or I have option to go for December-ended or some interim year-ended? Third, in case I go for interim ended, then can I require to look at and again go for year-ended? Shall I go for positive confirmation or negative confirmation? Am I required to do through some software or through online email is allowed? Or am I required to do only courier based or email is okay? If I send through email, shall I send email from my ID, copy my two clients, or shall I keep clients my email ID or not? If I give follow-up and response is not received, can I ask my client to follow up? After follow-up and all clients, if I don't receive response, then what should be done? What are the different alternate procedures which is required to be done? If I don't follow alternate in this procedure, then what will happen? So these are the lot of issues and questions in the mind, and these need to be really look into the appropriately. Why? Because if you just look at the frauds which is happening from Satyam till today, a lot of issues can be resorted or solved if we're having and following third-party confirmation. Even though we follow third-party confirmation, because of lacuna in the process followed for third-party confirmations, we're having issues. We're tampering with the documentation, tampering the confirmation procedure, tampering with the basically the letter A heads. Now all these things can be controlled appropriately if we follow in the spirit the procedure which has been laid down by standard authority. So I'm sure that this particular session will going to give a lot of insights, just practical insights to each one of us about how can we apply. And we are having a very young and dynamic faculty with us. I request the coordinator of the session, C. Deepika Jain, to formally introduce the faculty.
Hello, Mr. Mukesh Bajaj. Mukesh Bajaj is an associate partner for assurance services. He has 10 years of experience in the assurance domain With a comprehensive view across various sectors, he has handled audit clients of various industries such as manufacturing, information technology, shared service, healthcare, consumer products, etc. He has an extensive experience of handling Ind AS, IGAP, and IFRS audit clients. He emphasizes more on improving the quality of the audit documentation and bring the efficiency in audits. With this, I request Mr. Mukesh Bajaj to please guide us on the topic for today, that is third party confirmation and process walkthrough.
Yeah. So hi everyone. Very warm welcome to today's session. So first, I would like to thank Chintan sir and Deepika for the brief introduction and the providing the opportunity or platform to me to give this session on the very important topic, which is on the external confirmation. So just a minute, I will share my screen. Let me know if it is visible.
Yeah, visible.
Yeah, screen is visible.
Yeah. So. Today we'll discuss on the importance of third party confirmation. So this is the broader agenda. So we'll discuss the what are the importance of direct external confirmation, what are the types of external confirmation, for example receivable, payable, bank, borrowings, any legal confirmation, inventory lying with third party. So those are the types of confirmation. How you should do the sampling of confirmation, because that is the very critical part. So based on that only the entire audit will be driven for the confirmation thing. So sampling is very important. Then steps to be taken for each type of confirmation, so that we'll discuss in detail in the later part. Then follow-ups, reconciliation, follow procedure, challenges, and alternate testing. So these are the overall agenda. So we'll discuss it in detail in the further slides. Yeah. So so just to introduce on this, so objective, one of the important objective of the auditor is to design and perform the procedures to obtain the relevant and reliable audit evidence. So this has to be done at the beginning of the audit. So based on the accounts level, whether though with we need to see what are the significant accounts, significant customers, significant vendors for which we need to take a confirmations. So that designing has to be done at the planning stage only. So the materiality is to be considered while designing the confirmations for which we need to obtain it. So the first objective of the auditor is that. Then later on we'll see the overview, what are the, so from which sources the external which source is more genuine or reliable. So for example, if you obtain any confirmation from the management or from the internal sources, so that source is not reliable, there is a chance of tampering of the evidences. So those should be avoided. We should obtain the confirmation independently from the various stakeholders mean, for example, banks, vendor, then receivable for customers. So from all the parties we need to obtain the confirmation directly. Okay. Then we'll see the importance of external confirmation in auditing. So we'll discuss much in detail, but just give you the overview of those things at the beginning. So it will help us to verify whether the balance actually pertains or not. So there might be some bogus or fake account balances, so we'll not able to know it, right? So if we get the direct external confirmation, then we'll able to know whether that party account balance pertains or not. So this gives us the comfort over the existence of that account. Okay, then after getting the confirmation, we can see the accuracy of that account balances. Okay, so yeah, so in accuracy we'll check whether the balance is overstated or understated. So this is just a broader level importance. uh, yeah, then so from this slide, for next 4 5 slides, I will discuss the key benefits or key importance of obtaining the external confirmation. So first is on the credibility. So on credibility, for example, if we obtain the external confirmations directly from the stakeholders, then the chance of material misstatement will be very low. Okay, so we need to rely only on the direct external confirmation. So for example, while rolling out the confirmation, we should not mark client email IDs. Okay, then it will hamper our independence. So we should avoid marking client. And also, for example, sometimes what happens, any customer or vendor, while reverting back to us, they mark client personal or client finance team while reverting back to us. So that confirmation is also not acceptable. So we should not accept any confirmation response where client is marked. Okay, so that we need to ensure. Then next is on the trust. So definitely, if we obtain the confirmation directly from the external party, the trust factor will be much higher than obtaining the confirmation like from the management. So this we will discuss. The next uh, essentials or like benefit, you can say, in the obtaining the external confirmation is detection of frauds. So many times what happens, so I will link this point with legal confirmations. Okay, so as a statutory auditor, we will not able to know what are the legal cases which are ongoing in the companies. So for that, first of all, I will scrutinize the rates and taxes general ledger or legal and professional fees ledger. That part I will do it, but I will not able to know the ongoing cases or any show cause notice or demands. So that factor is there. So we need to send the legal confirmations as well, and through that we'll able to know any like any cases or which are against the company. So that we will able to know. Secondly, for example, it might happen, for example, company wants to manipulate its accounts, show better profits, show better revenues. Okay, so they might manipulate certain accounts, maybe they inflate their revenues, they inflate their receivables. Okay, and later on in the next year they will reverse it. So if we obtain the like direct external confirmations from the those parties, right, which has been like appearing in the books of accounts, so through that we'll able to know whether that party exists or not, right? So it will help us in detecting the frauds. Of course, auditor is like our objective is not to identify the fraud, but it doesn't mean we'll not perform the mandatory procedures. Okay, so this external confirmation will definitely help us in identifying certain frauds or any discrepancies in the books of accounts. So yeah, this is all about the detection point. Then integrity. So of course, this we have discussed some time back as well. So integrity will be much higher if we obtain the external confirmation instead of obtaining the confirmation from the management. So compliance and legal requirements. So this, I will link this part with the lot of recent amendments or recent, like I can say, we can link this point to SA 505, which is on the external confirmation. So as an auditor, it's a mandatory procedure for me to get the external confirmation on the account balances. So which all account balances need to be considered, we'll discuss it later on. So that is one point with respect to compliances. Accuracy and objective. So definitely will get the unbiased information if we obtain the confirmation directly from the external parties. And the cross verification. So cross verification, we need to see whether the account balances confirmed by the confirming party is matching with our books of accounts or not. So many times what happens, the confirming party balances are different from the books of accounts. So in that case, we need to obtain the reconciliation, and we'll need to see what are the types or nature of reconciliations. There might be certain situations where there might be like clerical error from both the ends. Okay, there might be a timing difference or cutoff issues, like for example, sales has been recognized by us but the purchase has not been recognized, recorded by the like opposite party, like you can say the vendor or any other party. So there might be a timing difference of that, so we need to obtain the reconciliation. So just obtaining reconciliation is also not sufficient. We need to see whether those reconciliations are material or not. If it is a material, we need to see the underlying evidences or supporting of that reconciliation. Okay, and after doing all this procedure, we will able to get the comfort over the entire balances. So this help us, like external confirmation help us in cross verification. Yeah, so this is straightforward, like definitely it will help us taking more appropriate or informed decision. Account balances we discussed. Yeah, so one more thing, like for there is a requirement of peer reviews. Okay, so it will help us in like closing or performing the peer reviews. So it will definitely validate the quality of audit procedure which we are going to perform it. So that was one of the point with respect to external confirmation. Yeah, so we have discussed the importance or benefit of all the like external confirmation. Now here onwards we'll discuss in detail regarding each type of external confirmation, then what are the alternative procedures, reconciliation, follow-ups, all those we'll discuss in detail. So first of all, the first type of confirmation is bank confirmation. So I would just like to know from the audience, can anyone tell me like what exactly procedure been followed by you for taking the bank confirmations? Anyone? Hello. So my question was that, like, tell me what exactly the procedures is being followed for taking the bank confirmation. And yeah, so that was my question. Yeah, so in the interest of time, we'll proceed. So bank confirmation is very important. Yeah, thanks Shashank. So in bank confirmation, we need to see all the accounts should be considered while rolling out the bank confirmation. Okay, so first we need to see whether there are any new bank accounts opened during the year, okay, or whether any bank account is closed in the current year. So how we will able to know that? So we need to first inquire to the management regarding any new accounts or closure of any account during the current year. Also, we will go through the board minutes. Okay. So for example, there is a requirement that if any bank accounts need to be added or closed, that has to be like documented or mentioned in the board minutes. So through verification of board minutes, we will able to know the completeness of bank accounts. Okay, so first that procedure we need to do it, and later on we will roll out the confirmation. So that steps we'll discuss it again. So in the types of external confirmation, there are a few types. Like for first is bank confirmation, second is account receivable confirmation, accounts payable, advance from customer, advance to supplier. So all these types we will discuss much in detail. Yeah. And also the type of response, we'll discuss it again, whether it should be positive response confirmation or negative response confirmation. So as an auditor, we should obtain only positive response confirmation, because it will provide us the high level of assurance, right? And also the response rate in positive response type will be much higher than the negative response. So in negative response, we will not able to know whether there are any material misstatement pertains or not, because there might be a chance that the person will definitely not respond, right? So as a statutory auditor, we should not follow the negative response. Yeah, so these are the five types of external confirmation. Again, there are two, three types. One is on legal confirmations. So this is something new which many of is not following. So this is also very critical in the statutory audit. The other one is inventory line with the third party, investment confirmation, and related party confirmation. So these are the all types of the external confirmation. So we'll discuss in detail uh, for each type of external confirmation. So first, yeah. So before discussing the steps for each type of confirmation, we will discuss what level of sampling we should do it before we roll out the confirmation. Okay. So I have divided this like sampling method in two category. One is 100% we need to obtain it, and the other one is based on the materiality. So for intercompany receivable, payable, or any unsecured loans, so we need to obtain 100% of the confirmation from those parties, like intercompany parties, right? And for like third parties will like depend on the materiality, right? So intercompany 100%, no choice. Then the legal confirmation is also we need to obtain for 100%, like to all, from all the external legal counsels. And apart from these two, like we can do the sampling based on the materiality, right? So we'll not discuss much on the materiality because that is altogether a separate topic. So based on the performance materiality tolerable error, we will see the number of account balances for which we need to obtain the confirmation. So that is to be done for the third party receivable payable balances, including advances, then inventory lying with the third party investment confirmation. So investment can be of like from the brokers or custodians. So we as an auditor, we need to send the confirmation to those parties as well. So this is just a overall sampling method. Okay, so we'll now we'll discuss steps to be followed for each type of confirmation. So first we'll take the account receivable. So generally, like For account receivable, first of all, we should obtain the detailed listing from the client. That listing should have aging schedule as well. So through that, we will able to know what are the long outstanding receivable. So that we should obtain definitely, because there is a chance of provisioning in those long outstanding amounts. So that we should target, like the what are, like for example, more than 2 years, more than 3 years. And if that balance is material, okay, so we should include those accounts while rolling out the confirmation, right? Of course, it is based on the materiality. So that is the importance of obtaining the aging. Okay. Secondly, we should obtain, like we should plan to send the confirmation to those party whose account balance is more than my overall materiality level, right? So that those accounts are individually significant. Okay, so that will also be included. And third is based on the uh, overall, like based on the materiality, not for the individual significant accounts, but for overall materiality, we should include the samples. So I will just summarize. First is based on the long outstanding amounts. Okay, if it is material, then those accounts to be included for rolling out the confirmation. Second is based on the individual accounts. If it is significant, individual account means the if that balance is more than my overall materiality level at financial level. Okay, so that I will consider. And third is based on my like significant, like you can say financial caption level materiality, so that we should include. Okay, so we have discussed much in detail regarding the my population of confirmation. Okay, so after that, once you have selected the samples, you should ask client to prepare the confirmation based on the formats which you follow. Okay, so you should send the format of confirmation or template of confirmation to the client. They will update the confirmations for each of the parties. Okay, and from the management, we need to obtain the authorized letters. Okay, so management will authorize us to roll out the direct external confirmation to the various stakeholders. Okay, so that's why the authorization is very important, because if you do not get the authorization and directly you reach out to the customer will not revert back first, and second, that is not the appropriate way of obtaining the confirmations. Okay, so we have to get the management signed confirmation. Now we have obtained the like authorized confirmation, but next part is how we should write the email, whether it should be positive confirmation request or whether it should be a negative confirmation request. So as a auditor, like we discuss these in the like introduction slides. So as a statutory auditor, mandatorily we should follow the positive confirmation type only, because that is more reliable. Then we will able to know whether there are like any actual misstatement is there or not. Okay, based on the response. Okay, that is the second thing. And third thing is like response rate in the positive confirmation will be always higher. For example, if you are not able to get the confirmation, then you can do some follow-ups as well, right? And also you can connect with the clients that uh, we have rolled out the independent confirmation. Few parties are not responding us, right? Even those accounts balances are very significant. So management can reach out to their uh, customers and say like you customers, and ask them to revert directly to us, so that follow up you like we can able to take it. So that is the like importance of this drafting a email. So we should do the positive confirmation. Negative confirmation is not recommended. Management can do some negative confirmations, right? For example, typically in MSME confirmation. So generally what management writes, like they write to the stakeholders that if you are MSME categorize vendor, then revert back to us. If you are not reverting back, then we will assume you are not MSME. So those kind of confirmation management can do. We are not supposed to do any kind of like any negative confirmation. We should not request, request from the stakeholders. So this is the importance of drafting an email. Then once we obtain the confirmation, like authorization confirmation from the management, we should roll out it to the customers or various stakeholders. So while rolling out the confirmation, we should not mark any finance team members. Okay, so it should be independent, and also we should write in email body that as an audit, like we are the statutory auditor of XYZ private limited company. Okay, and as an auditor we are like requesting you the confirmation, okay, account balance confirmation. Please find attached management authorization letter. We request you to revert back to us directly. So that directly word should be mentioned in the email body, so that we should ensure while drafting a email. Okay, then you have once you have rolled out the confirmation, so what is the next steps? Okay, so we need to monitor those confirmations. Okay, just rolling out the confirmation is not really like not that important. We need to obtain it as well, right? But for example, if 50% or 70% of the confirming party is not reverting back, then you need to do the some actions from your end. So what kind of action we need to follow it? So we need to follow it, like we need to do the follows. Okay, follow means we need to do the follows in a regular, like reasonable interval. Not like today I have sent the confirmation, tomorrow morning I will again follow, then after one day I will do one more follow. So doing follow up is not my task, right? I need I need to do the follow-ups on a regular intervals to obtain the confirmation. So follow up I can do it. Okay, and even after multiple follow-ups, if I am not able to get the confirmation, then I have some alternative audit procedure based on the standards on auditing. Okay, so that we will discuss much in detail in next slides. So this is the overall steps which we need to follow it in obtaining the external confirmation. Let me know if you have any question in Q&A box. I will try to answer it. So yeah, so this was all about the account receivable. Then on a reconciliation part or on alternative testing, we will discuss on the next slides. Okay, so this was first type of account receivable. Then next one is of course accounts payable. So all the procedure will be same. Okay, just it is a like you can say it is a replicate of accounts receivable. So the payable balance has to be mentioned while rolling out the confirmation. Okay, all other procedure remains the same like accounts receivable, so we will not discuss much in detail for the accounts payable. Then next one is with respect to advance received from customer. So it like I have observed that many auditors or many team members like do not consider this account caption for rolling out the confirmation. Okay, so this is also very critical, right? For example, if your advance receive from customer is like very significant balance, then mandatorily we need to obtain the independent confirmation for this caption as well, right? So what we can do, like we need to obtain again the customer advance list. So we should obtain that list along with the aging schedule. Through that we will able to know whether the advances are old one or it is a recent advance. Okay, so that listing we should obtain it. Next, like preparing the confirmation. So same, we will not discuss it again, like preparation of confirmation. The next one is very important in advance. So while rolling out the confirmation, in your confirmation format, you should mention few details with respect to the transaction of customer, like account balance, right? So you should mention what was the amount of advance for which you need to obtain the confirmation. You should mention any relevant purchase orders or any relevant contract numbers. Okay, so those details along with date of advance, so all those details should be mentioned in the confirmation format. So one thing is very important. So if you mention the appropriate wordings or appropriate information in the confirmation format, then chances of getting the reward, okay, chances of getting the response from the stakeholders is much higher. Okay, so if you like, if your format or if your confirmation is very ambiguous, then you will not able to get the confirmation for sure. So drafting of confirmation format is also very important. Okay, so this we have discussed. Then the other steps are similar to accounts payable and accounts receivable, so we'll not repeat those things. In case if someone has any question, feel free to like drop a message in Q&A box, we can discuss it again. But these steps are same, just like a account receivable. So only this part is changed, like the format of confirmation. Okay, then we'll move on to the next type of confirmation, which is on a which is supplier advance. Yeah, so it is also more or like similar to the customer advance. So here also we need to follow the same steps, like obtaining the entire list of supplier advances, then getting the confirmation. The format should be very crystal clear, like for which we need to get the confirmation. And here the steps will remain same. So only thing which will change here is the alternative testing. So we'll discuss on the alternative testing much in detail for each type of confirmation. So for receivable, payable, advances, supplier advance, customer advance, so all the alternative procedures are different. Okay, so we'll discuss it on the later slides. So right now we are discussing the steps which we need to perform to obtain the external confirmation. So advances we have discussed. Next one we'll discuss on the legal cases. So I have seen almost 80-90% of the auditors is missing on this part. They are not obtaining the external legal confirmations. Okay, so this is actually very important part. This has to be planned at the planning stage only. So we need to obtain entire listing of professionals or advocate or legal counsels which management is dealing, right? So we need to obtain the list, right? Along with list, we'll know what kind of cases those legal counsels are handling, right? So those information along with their mobile number, or if you are not able to obtain the mobile number, then you can get the email IDs of those legal counsels. So just to start with the steps, so first we should discuss much in detail with the management regarding the legal matters. So legal matters might be any show cause notice, any demand order, any labor related matter. Okay, any strike, you can say any whistleblower, maybe any kind of thing you can consider here. So we should discuss much in detail with the management and understand the types of cases which is ongoing. Okay, so after that we need to like list down the number of confirmations or legal counsel for which we need to roll out the confirmation. So here we should not do any sampling, because 100% of legal confirmation we should try to get it, because you will not able to know any matter which is significant to you and for which you have not rolled out the confirmation. So try to get 100% of legal confirmation. Okay. Also, we need to link these legal confirmations with two things. One is your contingent liability, and other one is clause number 7b, clause number 7b of caro reporting. So we need to see three things all together, like legal confirmation, contingent liability, and caro clause number 7. So that level of importance is there for these legal cases confirmation. Okay. So in legal confirmation, I've just like will discuss the content of legal confirmation. So this content will be altogether different from the other confirmation. So in the content, we should mention the list of legal matters which is ongoing, right? So that we need to mention. Then current status and expected progress. So this should be blank because this should be reverted back by the external legal counsel. So you just need to mention all the legal cases. Then the confirming party will update the status or progress of those cases, and potential financial impact, estimated liability, any settlement. So all these details should be there in our legal confirmation format. Okay. So this will be overall like content of the legal confirmations. One more thing, we should mention one line. For example, like we have listed down all the cases. Now in case if there are any additional cases which is not being in the list, that also we should ask from the legal external counsel to revert back to us, right? So there might be a case where it is ongoing but it is like not updated by the management to us. So there is a chance of that, so we should ask one open-ended question as well in the legal confirmation. Okay. So after understanding all the cases, okay, legal matters, drafting the content of legal confirmation, let after that we will roll out the independent confirmation. Okay. And also we need to do the follow-ups, or we might need to have a call as well with the external counsels, right? It happens that sometimes it happens that the level of understanding, the level of interpretation of statutory auditor and the external counsels differs. Okay. On those points, we need to have a call with external counsel as well, because this call is very important. Because after discussing the questions or the difference of opinion, we should discuss it, and through that only we will able to know the potential financial impact, right? And if you after concluding the call, if you are if you are concluding that this legal matter has a potential financial impact, then you need to see whether the provisions to be recorded for that demand in the books of accounts or not. Or only, for example, if those cases the outcome is favorable, right, but that litigation or matter is ongoing, then in that case you should disclose that potential impact or potential liability in a contingent liability disclosure only, right? And if it is not favorable, then management should provide for the management should do the provision in books of accounts. So that comparison, discrepancies, or any difference of opinion should be discussed with the external confirmation. Yeah, so this is the importance of legal cases. I hope everyone is like understood about the legal cases. Definitely I'm just repeating again, like in case of any question, feel free to reach out in the chat box or Q&A box. Yeah, moving out to our next type of confirmation, which is inventory lying with the third party. Okay, so I can, like, you can consider one more financial caption in this slide. Like, there might be a situation that one of the asset, like property, plant and equipment, is also lying with the third party. So you can relate that as well with the discussion which we are going to discuss on this slide. So inventory lying with third party. So this is also very important. There is a specific clause in the caro on the inventory. Then to see the closing balance, like, so to see the valuation or any provision on the inventory, this confirmation will definitely help us. So we'll discuss it in detail now. So inventory lying with the third party, so we should obtain the list of third party locations. Okay, so third party locations can be warehouse, any CFA agent, or any other logistic providers. So we should obtain the entire listing of third party locations. Okay, after obtaining the list, we should also get the information or get the balances, inventory balances lying in those locations. So for example, if any warehouse or any third party locations, the inventory balance is not significant, then you should not do any procedure on those, for those locations. Okay, so obtaining list along with the balances lying with the third party, okay, is very important. So at the planning stage, you can decide for which type of, for which location you will obtain the inventory confirmation. Okay, then later on, while preparation of the confirmation letter, the content should include the quantity of inventory, description of that inventory or any raw material stock or finished goods. So entire complete description of those inventory should be mentioned in the confirmation format. Okay, and very important, like quantity is there, description is there, the condition of inventory column has to be mentioned in that format. Okay, so you can say it is good or it is obsolete, right? So those kind of thing we need to see it from the inventory confirmation. For example, if the condition of those stock lying with the lying with the third party is not good, in that case you need to provide for those inventory, you need to take the inventory provision for those inventory balances. So that is the important of checking the condition of that inventory lying with the third party. Okay, so this was the content of that. Then next one is like obtaining the signed authorization letter from the management, rolling out the confirmation independently to the third party warehouse. Okay, third party logistic providers, then doing the follow-ups from them, obtaining the confirmations. For example, if any party revert back to us that the stocks like account, like there are any discrepancies. For example, while rolling out the samples, you mentioned 10 line of items. Okay, or for example 10 quantities for any particular inventory account. Okay, but the confirming party reverted back to us that stock lying with them is only 9, so there is a difference of 1. So difference might be on account of factual, okay, or might be on account of reconciliation. So we need to see whether there are any timing differences, any reconciliation in that discrepancy, and if yes, then you should do the other procedure for that, like verification of that reconciliation. And on the other hand, if there is a factual discrepancy in that like quantity confirmation, then whatever the discrepancy is there, okay, so for that the management should take a provision, right? So those balances should be adjusted based on the factual confirmation received from the external party. So that is the comparison of quantities with the books of accounts along with the confirmation. Okay. Yeah. One more important point here is checking the ownership of that inventory lying with third party. So it should be legally owned by the company for which you are doing the audit, right? So it should not be in the name of the third party provider, like logistic providers. So ownership also we need to see, because those, if ownership is different, then those stocks or inventory should not be recorded in your books of accounts. So transferring of ownership or legal, like ownership of those inventory has to be ensured. And on the last part, the condition of the inventory we have discussed, and the importance of that is also very important. Like importance of checking that is also very relevant, because based on that only we'll able to know whether any provision is required uh, based on the conditions of the inventory. Okay, so this is the overall steps which we need to follow it while obtaining the confirmation from the third party. Okay, inventory line with third party. Yeah, so moving out to the next point, follow-ups. So we have discussed this. So what level of follow-ups to be done, that is also very judgmental. So mandatorily two follow-ups we should do it. Okay, more than two is fine, but minimum two follow-ups we should do it. As a auditor, or you can say the follow doing the follow up is fine, but documenting that follow up is also important. So that follow up emails or follow up request has to be documented in our work paper. Through that only I will able to know whether the follow ups, appropriate follow ups has been done. Okay, and that should be on a regular intervals. So sending only first email on the confirmation, like sending one, just one request email and thereafter not doing any follow, is not a sufficient audit procedure. You have to perform minimum two follows. Okay, and that should be documented in the work papers. So this is on the follow up part. Yeah, so next part is on the reconciliation. So it might happen that there are differences in account balances. Okay, so those we need to see it very carefully, compare those confirmed balance with our books of accounts, and check whether the reconciliations are significant or not, right? If it is, like you can say, below our SAD level, like SAD level, what I can say is a third type of materiality that can be seen at a transaction level. So, if, for example, in a nutshell, if the reconciliation difference is not material, then you can ignore that thing. Okay, but if the reconciliation differences, okay, are material, then in that case we need to see the supporting evidences, working, the nature of those differences much in detail. Okay, so I just like obtain the reconciliation and do nothing is not the appropriate audit procedure. I need to perform the testing over that you can say reconciling balance as well. Just mentioning the nature or mentioning the amount of reconciliation is the not sufficient audit procedure. So we need to perform the procedure on the reconciliation as well. Okay, the investigation, discussion with the management, so all those things we will perform it while doing the reconciliation testing, and of course review of supporting documents. So can anyone tell me, like, why reconciliation will appear, any situations or any scenarios where you will arrive the reconciliations? right, Shashank. So there are many situations. Like I can say, first is of goods in transit, like the goods has been like left from our factory, like from the audit client, and it is in progress. So there might be a situation that the opposite party or confirming party have not recorded those transactions in their books of accounts. Okay, so first is that the timing differences. There might be some clerical errors. So there are these kind of situation will arrive. Yeah, thanks for the responses. Uh, goods imported shown as sales in the books of vendor, but these are not recorded in our books. Yeah, true. So this is also one of the like reason for the reconciliation. So here we need to see the underlying like supporting documents to get comfort over the entire account closing account balance. Okay, then moving to the next point, which is the call over procedure. I'm sure like many of us or many of these auditors are not doing the call over procedure. So in the standards or like auditing standard, it is mentioned that auditor may do this. Okay, so to obtain the reasonability, like to get the reasonability or to obtain the more comfort or the confirmations. So here we can do the follow-ups, like for example, if confirming party is reverting back to us, then we can do like we should acknowledge that receipt of the confirmation, saying thanks, we have received. Okay, so those things we should do, because if you revert back and that after like reverting back, if your mail is bounced back, okay, that means the email is not authorized one, or email there is some problem in the confirmation. So that is the importance of reverting back or acknowledging the email. Okay, so it is very rare, but we should try to acknowledge the receipt of the confirmation. One more thing we should do, whether the confirming party or the person who is reverting back to us, whether that person is authorized or not, that we can check it. Also the checking of designation is also very important. For example, it should not happen like sales manager or any sales team member is reverting back to us on the confirmation. So it should be from the accounts or finance team. So verification of designation is also very important. It might happen that auditor may pick up a call and discuss with the confirming party for any discrepancy. So that calling procedure is also like mentioning the standards. So it depends on the professional judgment, or it depends on the situation to situation. Auditor may call to the confirming party. So this is all about the call over procedure. So doing the call over procedure is fine, but documenting those is very important. Okay, so if you are not documenting what procedures you have performed, then simply it is not done. So documenting each of these procedures is very crucial in our auditing, right? Yeah. So next one, with respect to the challenges, of course, like there are multiple challenges, but we can discuss few of the challenges which everyone face while rolling out the confirmations. Okay. So as a statutory auditor, I will definitely prefer sending the confirmations to maximum parties, but it might happen like client resist us not to roll out the confirmations. Okay, so in that case, what procedures or what like alternative procedures we need to do, that we'll discuss again. So lack of cooperation can be there from the client. Client might resist us not to send the confirmation to particular parties. Okay. So yeah, so first is lack of cooperation. So one is on the like response rate. So for example, you are sending the confirmation to 10 parties out of 100, and in 10 you are getting only one response. So response rate is also very challenging. Then you will end up doing only the alternative procedure only. So doing alternative procedure is fine, but obtaining the confirmation is much important. We should obtain at least 60-70% of confirmation. Okay, for balance, we can see doing the alternative audit procedures to get overall comfort over the trade receivable or trade payable or any financial captions. So lack of cooperation is definitely one of the challenge. Then next one is timing differences. So these we have discussed in the reconciliation part. So we may face challenges that the account balances is not matching with the confirmation balance. So cutoff issues or any timing differences are there. So this is one of the challenge which I can think of. Then next one is refusal, like management's refusal. So here we need to further like see two things: whether that refusal, we need to validate the refusal, right? So we need to see whether that refusal is reasonable or not. Okay, so of course reasonable is depend on the auditor to auditor, it depends on the professional judgment. Okay, so we need to see whether if it is reasonable, then we will perform the alternative audit procedures. Okay, and if that reasonable, like if refusal is not reasonable or if it is unreasonable, okay, then we need to do two things. One, we need to communicate or discuss with TCWG, which is those charged with governance. And the other thing which is very important, so refusal directly is like my scope limitation, I can say. If any audit procedure which I am not able to do it, okay, which is mandatory, then it will be my scope limitation. So I need to check the impact of that refusal, which I believe that it is unreasonable. Then the impact should be seen in the audit opinion. Okay, so for audit opinion, I request everyone to go through the 705 series 706. Okay, so there are a lot of cases or illustration given in case of any scope limitation. So those implications as well we need to consider. Okay, so this is all about the challenges which everyone face while performing the external balance confirmation audit procedures. Yeah, so this slide is very important. Okay, so this is all about the alternative testing. I have covered the maximum caption levels which we'll discuss much in detail. This alternative testing, I have seen like it varies auditor to auditor. Okay, sometimes it happens that the untested exposure is there, right? But the nothing is mentioned in the audit report, or nothing other audit or alternative procedure is performed. So we'll discuss much in detail. This is one of the crucial or important topic which we are going to discuss now. So there are five types which I have considered to discuss the alternative testing. First is account receivable. Okay, so alternative testing to be done only if the confirmation is not received. Okay, so if you are getting the confirmation, then doing the alternative testing is not required. Okay, so if you have obtained the confirmation, then no alternative testing. If you are not obtained, then alternative testing to be done. So we'll discuss first account receivable. In the account receivable, for example, if you are not able to obtain the confirmation, then there are two alternative procedures. Okay, I'll repeat, two alternative procedure. First is verification of subsequent cash receipts from the customer. Okay, verification of subsequent transactions or subsequent cash receipts from the customer, and other one is verification of underlying supporting documents. So now I will explain this much in detail. So for example, let's pick one of the customer named XYZ Limited. The closing balance of that customer is 1 lakh. Okay, you have rolled out the confirmation, but you have not, you have not obtained that confirmation from the confirming party even after multiple follow-ups. Okay, now what alternative procedures you will do? First, you will see whether those 1 lakh has been received subsequently or not. Okay, so you need to see invoice to invoice. Okay, so whether any amount subsequently received, you should ideally knock off it on the basis of FIFO only. So you need to see the subsequent receipt. So for example, in the particular scenario, 1 lakh has been received subsequently. Okay, then there is a no untested untested amount or no exposure is remaining. So in that case, we will stop, the alternative testing is done, and we have the comfort over entire 1 lakh balance. Now second scenario we will take. So 1 lakh is my closing balance, for which I have rolled out the confirmation. Alternative, I have not received the confirmation, then I have performed first alternative testing, which is verification of subsequent receipts. In doing the subsequent receipt checking, I observed that only 80,000 has been received subsequently. Okay, now there is a chance, like 1 lakh minus 80,000, now 20,000 is my untested population, right? So I cannot ignore that 20,000. Okay, so based on now here for that 20,000, we need to see the open invoices against those 20,000. So open invoice listing will obtain as on 31st March 2024 in for the current year, for example, and we'll see the listing of that 20,000 open invoices, and we need to verify those underlying supporting documents, underlying invoices. Through that second alternative testing only, I can conclude that 1 lakh was the confirmation balance. Subsequently, 80,000 was received. First alternative testing is done, and 20,000 also I have verified from the underlying invoices. Because doing this is very important, because you need to ensure there is no untested balance in the sampling. Okay, so before only, like in the 100 account balance, you are first doing the sampling. Now if you have selected some samples, then you should ensure you are verifying the entire balance. Okay, so verification of entire balance can be done in three things. One is confirmation, second is first alternative, which is verification of subsequent cash receipt, and the last one is verification of underlying invoices. So if you verify the underlying invoices, then 100% you will able to get the comfort. So there is no third alternative testing. In the second alternative testing, your exposure will be nil, like untested exposure will be 0. So through that only you will able to get a comfort or entire account balance, closing balance. Okay, so hope I have explained and everyone understood what is the alternative testing. So so for account receivable, we have discussed, and accounts payable is just a replication of the audit procedure. Here we just need to see the subsequent payments instead of subsequent receipts. Okay, so account receivable, account payable we discuss. Then we will discuss the advances, like customer advances which we have received, and supplier advances which we have given. So here now we'll discuss only on the alternative testing. Okay, so first alternative testing, definitely I will, now here the payments has been happened, right? Or receipt or payment has been done. So that's why the advance name is there. Like, so in customer advance, we have already received the advance. So alternative testing is not the verification of receipts or payments here in advances. Okay, so alternative testing is verification of subsequent transactions against those advances. Okay, so what we'll do, we can see whether those advances has been adjusted subsequently against the invoices or not. So that is my first level of alternative testing. Okay, now second alternative testing is that it might happen that advances has been given or advances is received from the customer, but at the time of doing the audit there is no subsequent transactions. Then there is still like untested population will arrive there. Okay, because the adjustment is like subsequent transaction is not there. So in that case there is one more alternative testing, which is verification of underlying supporting documents. So in advances, generally the advances is being paid based on the purchase orders. Okay, or in case of customer it is based on the sales order. The payment terms of those contracts or agreements or POs, right? We need to see those payment terms. So there might be a situation that the contract value is 1 crore, the party is asking for 10% of the advance, right, before the delivery of any product. So through that we will able to know 1 crore into 10% is my advance, right? So through that we will able to get a comfort over the advances. So this is the alternative testing with respect to advances. So I will just summarize. First alternative testing is to see whether the subsequent transaction is there or not, against which the advances has been knocked off. Okay. And the second one is and verification of underlying documents, maybe PO terms or payment terms. We need to see it. So this is all about the advances. Now moving out to the last alternative testing, which we'll discuss, is with respect to bank balances. So of course you can take other captions as well for doing the alternative testing, but just you can take a base of these 4 5 type of confirmation for doing the alternative testing or other financial caption. Okay, then the last one is with respect to bank confirmation. So first I will clarify verification of bank balance, okay, or verification of bank account balance appearing in the books of accounts from the bank statement is not allowed. Okay, so just verifying the bank balance from the bank statement is the not appropriate audit procedure. You can take the bank statement from the management, that's not a problem, but you will not able to get a comfort. You should not take a comfort over that account balances from the bank statement. So this is very crystal clear. It is not allowed as per any as per the relevant standards on auditing. Okay, now we'll come back to our topic again, which is on the alternative testing. So many times it happens that some public sector banks doesn't respond back to the auditors. So we face a lot of challenges in obtaining the bank confirmation as well. So mode of sending any confirmation is first is courier, the other one is sending the email, or third can be, there are various tools available in the market which can help the auditor in rolling out the confirmations. Okay, so here in bank confirmation, the first and I can say the last alternative post testing. So there are no two alternative testing in bank confirmation. There is only one alternative testing which you can do. Verification of bank balances from the bank portal. Okay, so we should ask the management or the authorized person to log in their bank account by doing any net banking. Then in our presence, right, in our physical presence, or you can do the virtual call as well. So in our presence we need to see whether the account balances, okay, appearing in the on the bank portal on a particular reporting date is matching with your books of accounts or not. If yes, just take a screenshot of those balances, document in our work paper, and conclude that the bank balance is fairly stated. So this one alternative audit procedure is there in bank balance testing. So this is very, very important. Okay, but I will recommend just try to get the direct confirmation. Just do not reach out directly on the alternative testing. So obtaining the confirmation is very, very important, that to be done independently. Okay, yeah, so this is all about the alternative testing. Then uh, one of the observation I can found I have found in FRRB reports. Okay, so there are multiple issues which FRRB has reported. What are the observations on the financial statement? What kind of reporting has been done in the audit report or financial statements? What should have been done? So all those are there in the FRRB observation. So I have picked one of the observation from that FRRB report, which is on the external confirmations. So if you see the first paragraph, okay, so one of the paragraph which has been mentioned in the financial statement is that certain balances of trade receivables, loans, advances, trade payable, or any other liability are subject to confirmation. Okay, now I will request audience just say yes or no whether this paragraph is appropriate or not. Just few yes or few no. Have is everyone understood the question? I will just repeat again. The one of the para which has been mentioned, or one of the disclosure note mentioned in the financial statement, is on balances. So it says that certain balances of trade receivable, loans, advances, trade payable are subject to confirmation or reconciliation. Okay, so this point has been highlighted by FRRB as well. So here, this note or this paragraph is very, very ambiguous in nature. So in the financial statement, there should not be any ambiguity, right? The users of the financial should not be misled. Okay, so as an auditor, we need to see whether any kind of note or any disclosure note which is misleading, those has to be removed from the financial statement. So this paragraph is very ambiguity in nature. So I will discuss why it is in ambiguity, right? So as an auditor, we need to check whether the account balances is fairly stated or not stated. You cannot give any caveat, right? So this is one of the caveat, subject to confirmation. So we cannot write or we cannot take any support of any caveat in our audit opinion, right? So either it is fairly stated or it is not fairly stated. So if it is fairly stated, then do not write anything in the financial statements and audit report. If you believe that some balances are not fairly stated, then you should assess the impact of those balances on the audit opinion. Okay, and just clarify what was the finding, what was the observation, and report based on the factual things. Just do not keep anything in the ambiguity. So with the help of this principle, I will just take a minute and just read out for you. One of as per SS 705 paragraph 7, the auditor shall express a qualified opinion when it has when he or she has obtained the sufficient and appropriate audit evidences, and based on that, the auditor concludes that there is a misstatement. Okay, so the qualification should be there. And the next one is, if the auditor is unable to obtain, right? So unable to obtain means subject to confirmation was mentioned. So if auditor is unable to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence, okay, then the auditor should see the possible effects of those account level balances on the financial statement, and see there can be some material misstatement or undetected misstatements, and based on these all the factual things or analysis, auditor should give the qualification. Okay, so we should not write anything which is subject to confirmation kind of wording or anything ambiguity in nature. So those should be avoided. Next slide we'll see the further detail of the observation. So it was viewed that information disclosed as above is ambiguous if such balanced confirmation reconciliation are not material and does not affect the true and fair of the financial statements of the company, then such information shall not be disclosed in the financial statement. Okay, and on the other hand, however, if such balances are material and do affect the true and fair view of the financial statements of the entity, then the auditor should have adequate incorporated facts in his audit opinion. Okay, and the audit opinion has to be modified, and SA 705 has to be like followed, and based on that, we should report. So this was the observation with respect to FRRB points. Okay, then next I can take, like we can discuss one of the case study which everyone awares of, right? So I have not like put a lot of details in the slides, so we can just discuss this Satyam scam or Satyam case study in just in a brief way. So what was happened, like in Satyam case, many of account balances were manipulated. There was complete window dressing of the financial statements. Okay, so the balances were far material on the overall financial statements. Okay, also there were various bogus or fictitious transactions mentioned in the accounts of Satyam. So in one of the meeting or in one of the AGM, one of the whistleblower complaint was there, like the balances seems to be not fairly stated. So it got like the scam was identified through some other ways. So that will not discuss, but like let's discuss the importance of the external confirmation by linking that with the scam. So if the auditor has, like Satyam auditor has followed the mandatory audit procedure with respect to confirmation, then lot of material misstatement uh, was able to, like auditor will able to obtain it or able to know it. So auditor have not sent the independent confirmations to the various stakeholders, maybe the receivable, payable, investment. So so through that, the auditor was not like you can say not identified any misstatements in the account balances. If the auditor was like sending the confirmations, then it might happen like there might be some misstatement. So that is the level of importance of external confirmation with this case study. So this is one of the example. You can find many of the example where there were in window dressing, the account balances were not fairly stated. The auditor has like have to follow the appropriate audit procedure in all those scenarios as well. So this is all about the external confirmation. So happy to hear it from you. If you have any question, please do let me know. Happy to answer. Hello. Hello. I request audience to let me know if you have any question. I'll happy to answer all those questions which you are facing while performing the audit procedures or external confirmations. Yeah, so the confirmation should be sent at the beginning of the audit. Of course, before sending the confirmation, we should understand whether the books of accounts has been finalized by the client or not. So many times it happens that client shares the trial balance, then later on they perform various account entries they record, then through that the account balance will change. So we should clearly ask management whether the account or year ending entries has been posted or not. Are there any unrecorded entries which will affect your account level balances? So that we should clearly discuss with the management. If management says that the accounts are reconciled match with the third parties, okay, then definitely at the planning stage only we should roll out the confirmation, because chances of getting the response before we sign the audit opinion are much higher if we roll out the confirmation at the planning stage. Okay, so for example, instead of rolling out the confirmation at the planning stage, if you roll out the confirmation at the end of the audit, you will not able to obtain, or you will not obtain the confirmation while signing the audit opinion. So this is very important point. Thanks Rama for highlighting this. So this should be done at the beginning. Yeah, next question was corporate hospitals takes balance confirmation from whom for patients who are covered by medical insurance and is availing of cash. Shashank, can you please explain your question again? Data is patient. So patient is already not in a condition to revert back. So I think so. This is not not the appropriate way. So it might happen. So it might happen that there are some insurance parties which are covered. Okay, so the settlement of the insured patients, okay, is not with the debtors, or like with not the patients. So that confirmation is to be obtained from the insurance parties. Through from them only you will get the balance. So that is the first point. And like yes, TPA. And the other one is right, from patient, if the balance is not significant, then you should not include taking the confirmations from those parties. Yeah, thanks, Shahab. The balance may not be large, but collectively, yeah, they collectively they are large. So here you need to see the best alternative procedures to get comfort over these account balances, because it is not directly taking the confirmation. Here we need to see the best alternative procedure. So here of course it depends on, yeah, correct. So subsequent recoveries we need to see, and based on that alternative procedure we will get overall comfort over the account balances. Nice Shashank. This was one of the good example. Any questions, team? Feel free to reach out here in session or in like or a LinkedIn as well. So I will definitely try to revert back to revert back to you on the questions. Just give me a minute.
Mukesh ji, would we like to end the session now?
Yeah, I have covered majority of the I have covered almost all the points with respect to external confirmation, the importance type of external confirmations,
Sure.
alternative
Does
procedure,
anyone have
everything.
any questions, or I will officially put a word of thanks?
Yeah, let me know if anyone have a question. Else we can conclude this session in a minute.
As we conclude today's session on Audit and India series, I extend my heartfelt thanks. Firstly, thank you to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Mukesh Bajaj, for insightful presentation on third-party confirmation. You've literally given us the expertise, which is really invaluable. Special thanks to Mr. Chintan Patel for doing our Masters of Ceremony and guiding us through the event. I also appreciate all the participants for active involvement uh, and making the sessions meaningful by posting questions. Lastly, of course, I'll thank you, ICI, for providing us this platform for our professional growth. Once again, thank you all for your presence and participation. We look forward to seeing you in our future sessions. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you from my side.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you ICI for
Yeah, of
giving
course.
me
Thanks
the
for
opportunity.
giving us this amazing platform.